Hey everybody, welcome back to 13 Rings, an NFC East podcast. I'm your host, Lucas, with Maurice and Earl. Mouse not in. She might join us later. Busy stuff going on in her personal life, so we're not going to worry about that. But if she joins us, great. If not, that's okay. Because this is not a Giants mock draft. This is not a Cowboys mock draft. But this is the Washington Commanders mock draft. And I am pumped. I'm ready for this. Guys, let's just get into it, okay? So,
Crickets.
okay, sir. Okay. Cowboys hating over here. I see how it is.
No,
I see
no
how it
hate.
is.
I'm just
Mm-hmm.
messing with
All right.
you.
Well, anyway, let's get into it. So remember our mock drafts. You guys comment on the first three rounds, but there are 6 picks in these first 3 rounds. So,
Aren't you
um,
special, sir?
I
We got
mean, look,
6 picks in the first 3 rounds.
I'm not going to complain about the moves that Chef
Oh
Peter's
no,
been doing. I'm not going to complain about the
I ain't
moves that
calling him a
Chef.
cook yet.
I'm calling him a cook. Anyway, so with the first round pick, which is the second overall pick in the 2024 draft, I have the Washington Commanders taking Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU. You guys know I've been preaching for Jaden Daniels for months. This should not be a surprise. Dual threat quarterback, Heisman winner, has an arm, can play within a system, can break the pocket, one of the fastest quarterbacks coming out of this draft. Thoughts, guys? Yeah, well, let me ask Earl first. Did you have Daniels as well, or do you have somebody else?
I'm gonna say Jaden Daniels. He's definitely that number 2 pick for you guys, as well as just his dual threat ability. I think
Mm-hmm.
the only weakness I have is he's a tad bit undersized, but I think
I
y'all
mean,
can work
he's
around
like
that.
215. He's not like completely undersized.
I'm just going with the strengths and weaknesses. And the
Okay,
only
fair.
thing just with just him being a little undersized, it's all good with that. But other than that, he's a dynamic football player. When I did the mock draft, Washington wasn't the team that Jaden Daniels decided to get selected. He actually went first.
Oh, that's weird. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
it was.
let me pause you there because Mao has officially joined on. Thanks for joining us,
Hey,
Mao.
Hey
Hello.
guys.
It's okay. It's
So
okay. We just did the first pick. So I said
it's
Jaden
okay.
Daniels. Earl said Jaden Daniels.
I ain't
So
say
you.
Jaden Daniels.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you said that
I
you.
didn't. I was just going in what you said. I'm gonna tell you who I ended up
Okay, well,
picking.
I asked you who you got then. If it's not Jaden Daniels.
I went with Drake May
Hmm. You trying to get
because
me mad tonight,
you
man?
no,
want Lucas to suffer.
He
no,
wants you to be
no.
mad.
It was either Drake May or Caleb Williams.
Oh
You want
well,
the
in that
headache?
case, okay. In that
Because
case,
each mock draft I did, Daniels went first to the Bears.
that's weird
It was
because
weird. It
we
was
all know
wild.
that ain't happening.
Right. So I went mock draft style. So Drake May with that, I feel like he has the upside as well. He's mobile, but you can still kind of do the interchangeable things like you would do with a Jaden Daniels. Only thing is with Drake May, I think he's a little more accustomed with the receivers, especially with one of his guys being there from Carolina, De'Ami Brown. But at the same time, he has that QB frame as well as a little more weight put on. But even if y'all did draft Drake May, I think y'all would be in a good position.
Okay, all right. Now, because you came in late, I'm going to go to Maurice next.
Okay.
I well, the second best player is Marvin Harrison Jr. Can we
Agreed.
agree on that?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. I think you guys are going to draft Jaden Daniels.
Okay, so
My
that's
only
who you got.
concern is my only concern is the elbow. There's been
Oh
Oh
some
my
yeah, the
gosh, it
elbow.
pictures
is not that
That
big of a
funky
deal.
elbow.
It's
that
like an
looked weird.
inflammatory thing. It can be drained. It's not a red flag for me. It's like a light like a lime green flag. Like it's not yellow, but it's not green either. It's a
Oh,
lime green flag for me.
okay. Well, going back to what Earl was saying, you gotta protect them. because he's 6'4", 210. This
That's
guy
light.
gets dinged up, it might be a wrap. I'm not wishing that on him, of course, but you got to protect him, man. He's not the biggest dude, so we're gonna get into offensive line later, I'm sure. But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
for sure.
I got Daniels with your first pick.
All right. And Mal, who do you got?
I have Jaden Daniels also. I just don't see a world where he's not a Commander next year. I don't think Drake May goes as high as everyone thought he originally did. So I went for Jaden Daniels just only for the sake, like kind of Earl did. Caleb's going number one. If it weren't for that case, I would have Caleb Williams there, but I think that Jaden Daniels is your guy.
I think so too. I think he's a franchise guy, really good leader. So yeah, we're gonna move on. Now we can't do trades, or else I would definitely do a trade back up into the first round. That being said, we're gonna go to the 36th pick. And with that pick in the second round, the Washington Commanders are going to draft, I might butcher this person's last name, Kingsley Suamataia, left tackle out of BYU. What do you guys think?
That was actually my second round pick.
Okay, so you chose him as well. He's a versatile
I also
guy.
did.
Okay. Maurice, did you have somebody different?
I had offensive tackle. I had Jordan Morgan from Arizona.
I was thinking Morgan, but I also knew that Earl used him, and I'm trying not to use anybody that anybody used before. So that's.
Hey Lucas, you know what's crazy?
What?
The Jordan Morgan pick, front office and the team actually consider him being a guard.
Yeah, he's because he has
Yeah.
Which is
he doesn't have
wild.
he doesn't have a long wingspan. That's why.
But I mean, you can still utilize him as a tackle, but for them, they see him as a guard. So he will be a tackle for any other team. But I think.
Well, I will going back to Kingsley here. I think you guys will agree he's a versatile tackle. He can play either position. He did play both positions in college. Has good technique, good measurements. I like him, and he does have an NFL pedigree. He, I believe, is Sewell's cousin, Penei
Sewell's cousin.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're all on the same page there. I don't want to beat the drum too much, but we definitely needed a left tackle. This definitely fills that need. And he's still in a very deep tackle draft. I think he would probably be a first round pick in most other drafts. So I think that's a good win there. Going to the 40th pick in the second round, the Washington Commanders are going to draft tight end from Texas, Jatavion Sanders. I like he has really good skill sets. Not a great blocker, especially on the run, but his route running and his hands really, really catch my eye. We need to have somebody in the long term because, we have who's the former Eagle that we just
Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz. Yeah, Ertz is not going to be the long term answer. He might not even be the answer this year. In a shallow tight end draft, Sanders is definitely the guy that I think the Commanders need to get in the second round while the tight ends are still pretty good. I'll go Sanders. I'll go with Maurice. Who did you have for the 40th pick?
Well, you guys have a hole in safety with Kendall Fuller. So
yes,
I went with Javon Bullard, safety from Georgia.
I was thinking safety in the second round too, but I know that there are other safeties later in the draft that I like as well, so that's why I didn't go there.
Mm-hmm. This guy got some speed though. 4.4. He runs a 4.4.
Okay.
Yeah, the safeties ran crazy in this combine.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's why I wasn't worried about getting somebody in the second round.
Yeah, he had 2 interceptions last season at Georgia. I just think you need to replace that hole there.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't really done it in free agency so far.
Well, Jeremy Chin can play safety.
How old is he? Yeah, he's in his 30s.
He's a young guy. He got drafted in the same year as Chase Young, so 2020.
Okay, wow. I thought he was older than that. Okay, all right.
He's gonna be that hybrid player.
I mean, that's okay. Okay. So, Mal, who did you have for the 40th pick?
So I actually went completely off the path there. I actually went wide receiver for you guys, and I selected Adonai Mitchell from Texas.
I wasn't even thinking wide receiver in the second round. I was thinking of a pass catcher, but wide receiver so deep that I was like, let me think about that in the third round. But
No, totally.
I don't hate the pick. I don't
Yeah,
hate the
no.
pick.
I will say
What
that.
type of? Can you explain a little bit more about his skill set?
Yeah, so he's quick. He reminds me, so it's going to be kind of wild. So he kind of reminds me a little bit of Jalen Hyatt.
Okay.
A little bit like that. But the reason why I selected Adonai Mitchell is because, in my opinion, when you have a rookie quarterback, you can never have too many weapons. And
Yeah.
I think pairing him on the outside with Terry would be great for your offense.
Uh-huh.
So, and especially with me selecting offensive tackle the previous time, you got your guy to protect Daniels, you got your weapons, and actually I'll get into the tight end you selected. I selected a little bit later, but I agree with your pick just a little bit later. But that's why I went with Adonai Mitchell.
Well, I'm not sure if Tavion Sanders is going to be available later. That's why I went with him now.
In my mock, he did.
Oh, interesting.
All I'm saying. So
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's fair. And Earl, who did you have for the 40th pick?
I'm gonna quickly go the Adonai Mitchell. He would be like a wide receiver 3 because with y'all having McLaurin and Dotson, you can plug Mitchell in there as well to kind of give him that big 3 at receiver. But my selection with the 40th pick, I actually went pass rush with you guys, especially
not
with
a bad choice.
Having Dan Quinn, especially with his pass rush specialist. I went with Chris Braswell from Alabama. Now, I think Dallas Turner would have been off the board by then. And I think Braswell would have been that second option as a pass rusher as well as setting the edge. And y'all definitely need a edge guy to go with the pass rush that y'all have.
And I'm addressing that later in the draft, but okay.
And adding Braswell, I think he would be a worthy asset to the front four with what you guys already have with Allen and Payne. And then just shoring up that other side, especially.
Well, we still have KJ Henry and Dorrance Armstrong too. So,
right, y'all also got Dante Fowler as well. Yeah, I'm talking like guys after these guys.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he's
absolutely.
A plug and play, interchangeable.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I actually went with Braswell from Alabama.
Okay, fair enough. I like edge, and I got that later in the draft, and I understand. I'm with Mal on the same idea of getting another, get somebody that can help the rookie quarterback. Just like I said, tight end is shallow in this draft. Saunders was there when I picked at 40, and I'm like, okay, let's get a tight end. Let's get somebody for the future. Seems like a good pick. But let's go to the third round now. We have 3 picks in this third round. So with the 67th pick, I had the Washington Commanders picking wide receiver from USF, Javon Baker. So any reactions to Javon Baker? Just a quick synopsis about him. He is a deep threat. He did not run a good, 40. I think it was like a 4.5, but like the way that he gets separation and how he runs those deep routes really impressed me. His average yards per catch was 21 this past season. So that's my, he's an outside threat that can go cross from Terry. That's what I'm thinking. But thoughts, I'll start with Mal this time. Mal, thoughts on my pick, and then who did you have instead?
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. My pick that I had instead was Jatavion Sanders, tight end. Yeah, okay, so I just got him a little bit later.
Okay, fair enough. Earl, what do you think?
The Baker pick, I like that pick. Especially y'all can utilize him, especially with yak yards. Like I like receivers that
yards after the catch. Yeah, he's really good at that too.
Yeah, I really like receivers that are yak guys because they can catch the ball at any area and take it the distance. Yeah. And I think with Baker, he'd be a solid pick for you guys. But my pick, I actually went running back.
Interesting. And even with Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez also still being on the roster?
Yes, but I think this will knock Rodriguez out of the main 53.
Okay.
And it's the running back I have is Ray Davis from Kentucky.
I haven't really paid attention, but Rodriguez just graduated. We just got Rodriguez last year from Kentucky.
Y'all going Kentucky again, sir? Yeah, Ray Davis, I feel like he's one of those running backs that has a complete game. He doesn't have
Mhm.
like the full blazing speed, but he has that determination and vision, almost hypothetically, almost like how Emmitt Smith used to run. And I think with him being able to change paces as well as building on the tempo with game speed, I think that would be a nice compare with Eckler and Robinson. But it will also give you an extra weapon that
Mhm.
if y'all draft Daniels, it can give him as well, and then y'all can change backs. I feel like Eckler's that kind of that short plan, while Ray Davis could be that future plan along with Robinson, being a
I
1-2 punch.
look. I don't disagree that we need to upgrade our running back depth long term. However, I have accepted that we're not going to fix every single roster problem in this draft because there's more holes than that. And halfback can wait until next offseason, though I don't mind the pick. I don't think they're going to go halfback in the draft, or if they do, they're going to do it much later. Maurice, what do you think of Javon Baker, and who did you have?
Well, right now your running backs, I mean, excuse me, your receivers are McLaurin. Samuels is gone, correct?
Samuels went to Buffalo, new number one.
And
Sorry, I
Dotson.
had to. I had to.
Oh yeah, yeah. We can talk about that later. So McLaurin, Dotson, and you don't really have a third receiver, do you?
I mean, Dommy Brown, but I mean,
Yeah.
or if you want to go elder statesman, Jamison Crowder, but
Yeah.
either one is not a great
I could
option.
see why you took Baker as your pick in the third round for receiver. I actually went with an edge rusher. You talked about that earlier.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's coming, not yet, but okay.
I actually have you guys taking in the third round Braylon Trice, edge
Okay.
rusher from Washington.
That's a good pick. I like that pick.
He's a hybrid player, but he's an edge rusher, but he
Mhm.
can do a lot of other things. Um, long, lanky, long arms, 6'3", 245. He had 7 sacks last season. That's actually down from the previous season. We had 9 sacks, but he can get after the quarterback. And you got to replace Chase Young. I think this is. I'm drafting guys for your team, Lucas,
Mhm.
that are talent replacement, basically.
Okay, gotcha. Look, no, I don't mind an edge rusher at this point. It's just not the direction that I want. I want edge a little bit later, but that's fair. So yeah, that look, you guys made some good suggestions. I still feel really good about Baker here. With the 78th pick in the third round, I went cornerback from Rutgers, and I went Max Melton, former wide receiver, converted to a cornerback. He has good hands, can really good in zone coverage, solid in man coverage. I like it can is be has the ability to be a ball hawk. I think that gets developed more under Dan Quinn. What are your guys' thoughts? I'll start with Earl this time. Earl, what are your things on Max Melton as the 78th pick, and who did you have?
I could see that, especially with you guys having cornerback help, but I actually
Mhm.
went wide receiver. I feel like
Interesting.
this receiver could play tight end as well, especially with his frame. I had
Interesting.
you guys getting Johnny Wilson from Florida State.
Okay.
He's 6'7", 237.
Dear
Yeah,
Lord.
yes, we love you, Lord. We have 41 He had 41 receptions this past season with 617 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he averaged 15 yards. The only thing with him, he has speed. He ran like a 4.5, maybe around a 4.56 for his size. The only thing is when he has space, he can catch it. But the only thing is with him being contested, he sometimes fumbles the ball. Where as a wide receiver, that is kind of iffy. That's iffy because you got to
Yeah.
make that catch. But seeing him as a tight end on short yardage, as well as giving Jaden Daniels large target that you can catch in the middle, is definitely a mismatch. And I think with his frame and size, you can convert him from a wide receiver to a tight end.
Okay. Okay. I don't hate it. especially if you're going to switch him over to tight end. But okay, what about you, Maurice? What do you think of going for Max Melton, and who do you have for the 78th pick?
Well, I think Max Melton's going to go like in the late second round.
You think so?
Yeah, a lot of mocks have him going late second.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be a little past. You might want to, if you're
Okay.
really high on him, you might have to
I was
spend.
going by a big board, PFF, and they had him in that area, so that's what I was. Actually, no, he was available for me in the PFF mock draft at that point.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I'm gonna stick with cornerback. I'm gonna go with DJ James from Auburn.
Okay.
Are you familiar with him?
No, I'm not. Please let me know more about him.
Another 4.2 guy.
Okay.
A little on the small side. I'm not me personally. I'm not too particular
Small as in
on.
height or in
Yeah,
weight?
yeah. Oh, both. I'm
Man, we
not
already got a
particular.
small one in Emmanuel Forbes, man. Why are you doing this to me?
Well, I mean, hey, talent beats out size.
Mm.
Correct.
That is true.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Now, DJ James, he's on the small side. I'm not a big fan of small corners, especially in today's game, but he's 5'11", 175. But I mean, this guy really he's a ball hawk, man.
Hmm.
He had 10 pass deflections last season at Auburn, 2 interceptions. Uh, he could fly once again, like I said, 4.4. I mean, if you're going to go corner, you want a ball hawk, and
Hmm.
especially in this division, you got AJ, you got CD. You need guys who can cover and get a pick or two.
Matchup.
Your matchups.
Fair enough. All right, and Mal, what do you think of Max Melton, and who did you have?
Yeah, so like Maurice said, I think Max Melton's going to go a little earlier, but if he falls to you, that would be great. And I definitely think you need to address the cornerback position.
Yeah,
But with the pick, I addressed another position in the secondary, and I went for safety.
fair
I
enough.
went with Cameron Kinchins from Miami.
Okay.
So he is tough, has good instincts, and great ball skills. He's great with takeaways. He had 11 over the last 2 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah, he lacks a little bit of speed, but he has a lot of potential to be a starter in the NFL. He has great intelligence. So I went with him because he fell to me, and I think he should go a little bit higher. But I think he would be good in your secondary.
All right. Speaking of safety, with the 100th pick in the third round, which is a compensatory pick that they got via the 49ers, I had the Commanders getting safety from Utah, Cole Bishop. He is a leader. He is an intelligent player. Sometimes he gets jammed up on the line. He can get blocked easily. That's the only down part to him. But he can be a ball hawk at times, and he has good size. So that's who I had. Let me go with Maurice. What do you think of Cole Bishop, and who did you have for the 100th pick?
I'm not too familiar with him. What's his measurables?
So to answer your question, Cole Bishop is 6'2", and he has a 9.5 hand size, 206. His arm length is 29 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
He has a 40 of a 4.45, a vertical of 39, a broad jump of 10 and 4 inches, and a 10-yard split of 1.5 seconds.
Okay, so a versatile player. I mean, I think we all kind of circling around the same positions here. But I like that pick. I like the pick.
Hmm.
When you get to the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round, you're picking potential, like what their
Hmm.
ceiling is going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that pick. I like that pick. Now, if I had to pick, I would go back to offensive line.
No, okay.
Yeah, you guys need help. You guys need a
I
lot of
mean, we
help with
got
O
a little
line.
bit of help, but yeah, we could use some more.
You got to protect. You got to protect your 6'3", 210 quarterback of the future.
You also need more help because you have Bobby Johnson as your line coach.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Ooh.
yeah, I I know. Look, I will say I have one more offensive lineman on my draft board here, but not at number 100.
I got you guys taking Brandon Coleman, offensive lineman guard from TCU.
Okay.
I
Earl
like that
probably
pick.
knows most about him. Earl, is that a good pick?
Yeah, that's a good pick, especially with y'all enduring the wanting to build on the run game. He could definitely be able to pancake some people. He's got some good upsides with him as well. And trust me, y'all need all the protection y'all can get for your shiny new toy.
So Lucas, real quick, your
Mhm.
offensive line as of right now, your center is covered, correct?
Yeah, center is covered. And
Your
we
two,
have our left. I mean, I'm assuming that they're going to have Andrew Wiley shift over to right guard. And I know we signed Nick Allegretti. He's going to be guard, and I think he's going to be left guard.
okay.
We still have Andrew Wiley, who's probably going to be right guard. And then I don't think we're going to. Sam Cosme's probably going to be the right tackle. I mean, we have some options here, but I'm not like loving any of them. So, I mean, anything's up for grabs pretty much outside of center and probably pretty much center
Let the
and
best
Cosme.
man win in training camp.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it.
Yeah.
All right, so who? Okay, so and then I forget. So Maurice went first. So Mal, tell me who you got with the 100th pick.
Yeah, so going off of your pick, I think that was a good choice. Safety has to be addressed with
Yeah.
Kendall Fuller gone, like Maurice said. Also, like you said, you're going for the upside. So that's what's more important. So
Yeah.
I actually went with the offensive line also.
Okay.
I went back to that. I selected Kieran, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Amegji.
I know who you're talking about. I very much considered him.
Yes, from Yale.
Yeah, I considered him for the actually the 78th pick, but he wasn't available by the time I picked at 100.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so he actually fell in this one. So he seems like a great prospect.
He is. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he really does. And I think that he can definitely help you guys out, and he definitely has the potential to be a starter. So that I selected him because he fell pretty far to me, and I thought it was a no-brainer for you guys, especially since you need the offensive line help.
Absolutely. And Earl, who do you have for the 100th pick?
I actually went corner.
Okay.
And the corner I selected, because I definitely know y'all need a corner with some size. I went with you guys getting Kyrie Jackson from Oregon. He's 6'4", 194 pounds. He had a 40 time of 4.5 flat. His 10-yard split was 1.5 seconds. His vertical jump was 36.5. His broad jump was 11.1. And with his ability, I think with how Dan Quinn likes his tall corners, where he's worked with Richard Sherman, he's worked with Trayvon Diggs, and has a chance to work with Emmanuel Forbes, but want to have that big, taller corner. And I think Kyrie Jackson would fit the mold. He's very aggressive. He attacks the ball. He actually can be utilized on corner blitzes. The only downside I have with him is his hip flexibility is sometimes lack, but with his early acceleration with close and top end speed is definitely a question. But he's definitely one of those corners that could be very physical and that could really help that young secondary that you guys have, as well as having Joe Witt work with those guys.
All right. Hey, I'm not going to complain about it. So that's it. That's all you guys got to do. But I got 3 more picks that I got to cover here. So I'll try to get through this relatively quick so that we can move on. In the 5th round with the 139th pick, I went with edge rusher from UCLA, Grayson Murphy. Last season with the Bruins, he had 23 solo tackles. He had 5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. He did not go to the combine, but he has measurables of 6'3" and 260 pounds. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? I address edge here. He seems like a high potential type of guy, and I feel like with these defensive players, I can go a little bit later in the draft because I know the coaching staff will coach up any of these flaws that they have. So, what's your thoughts? I'll go with Earl first.
I think you can't have too many edge rushers. And I think with that, especially being a guy that can be a rotational guy, if Washington wants to fully go pass rush mode, it's good having those guys that can interchange where you can disguise different things. You can send a blitzer, but as well as you can defeat your man. I think that would be a solid pick because with Dan Quinn, he loves pass rushing. He loves pass rushers. So having those that he can interchange, that could really help out the team because y'all basically have the middle solidified.
Yeah.
It's just getting that edge, being able to hold
He's
the
more of an
edge the
upside
right
guy
way.
because his IQ isn't necessarily always there. Sometimes he gets lost on a block, but I think he's worth definitely at this position. 139 seems like a good fit.
Yeah, and
What
I think
about
he
you?
could learn to set the edge as well.
Yeah, probably. Maurice, what do you think?
I like the pick. I addressed edge rusher a round ago,
Uh-huh.
but he played in the Shrine Bowl. He ran a 4.7, which is pretty good for an edge rusher.
Uh-huh.
I don't know his weight, but
It's 260.
260?
Yep.
4.7, 260. It's not bad. It's not bad. I like the pick. Like I said, we're kind of going around the same positions, but these are the positions in need for you guys. Yeah, so I like the pick.
All right.
I see he's 6'2".
Yeah,
It's
he's 6'2".
a little small side.
Yeah, worse things could happen. And, it's a late round pick. I'm not worried about height. You go off of potential here, and he does have high end potential. Mal, what do you think?
Yeah, so like you said, in these later rounds, you really go for the potential and what you think you can coach up to make it NFL level. I like
Yeah.
the pick too. I didn't address edge in the first 3 rounds, but I would have addressed it in this round because it is definitely something of need for you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do really like the pick. I think it's a good choice.
All right. And with the other fifth round pick at the 152nd spot, I have the Commanders going with somebody who Adam Peters is familiar with this player's family. Might have traded for this player's brother at some point. But I have the Commanders.
I was going to mention them.
Yep. I have the Commanders drafting wide receiver from Rice, Luke McCaffrey. I like McCaffrey as a special teams guy. He can make people miss. He actually is fast. He ran a faster time than his brother at the combine. He is the type of guy that can just kind of make plays happen. He's not the fastest guy, but he's just kind of like one of those guys that can make plays happen. I don't really know. He's a yards after catch type of guy too. Can create separation when there is none. And so yeah, no, I like McCaffrey. I think he would be an ideal second as special teams guy or fourth wideout. And I like that. What are your guys' thoughts? I'll go with Maurice first because I know Maurice was thinking about him.
Yeah, if I had to give you guys a pick, maybe in a fifth round, sixth round, it would be him. I mean, he has a pedigree, first of all.
Yeah, the pedigree is a big. That was honestly when I heard that he was in the draft. I'm like, okay, I got to find a place. Where can I draft him? Where's a good place that I can draft him that I can justify this?
No, I don't think you. I don't think you have to justify it. I think it's a good pick. Listen, I I do think you guys need a speed receiver. Without knowing his 40 time.
I think it was like a 4.45.
A 4.45.
Yeah, I think it's a 4.45. I'll double check though while you're talking.
Yeah, so you guys need speed on the active receiver position. McLaurin's a fast guy, but you need more speed than that. And if you can't get it in the draft, I'm sure there's some guys out there in free agency down the road with training camp starts you can pick up.
He ran a 4.46.
That's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, and then just to let you know about Baker, going back to Baker real quick. His 40 time was a 4.54. So it actually was low on the low end, but they compare him to a Robert Woods in the description in terms of how the speed is affected. So anyway.
Yeah, so worst case scenario, you guys got a new returner.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like either punt or kickoff returner. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking about with this pick as a special teams.
Weird kickoff rules.
I mean, yeah, the new weird kickoff rules. We're not going to get into that this pod though. Matt, what do you think?
I love it. So someone who hasn't really had a legit punt returner for years. I can't even remember the last time we did. I'm all about drafting special teamers and depth. I think those two positions are so incredibly important, especially with the rate that these guys get hurt nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And the name, like Maurice said, there's a pedigree to it. So I love the pick.
And familiarity because Peter's with the 49ers. So
absolutely. And like I said, you can never have too much depth and never have too many special teamers, especially good ones. So I love this pick.
I mean, yeah, because right now our special teams guy is Jamison Crowder, and I prefer somebody else.
No, I'm with you. I love it.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, we just got Reeves back, Jeremy Reeves back too, so he's a special teamer, but I don't think he does returns. No. Anyway, and Earl, your thoughts real quick?
Yeah, I love the pick. His last name, Mr. Pedigree, especially in the NFL, and I think with him coming into the league, I think it'd be a worthy asset for you guys, especially on special teams, to work his way onto having more of a key role on the offense.
Yeah. I think he comes in and he's wide receiver number 4 or number 5. But yeah, special teams is where he's going to make a name for himself to start off with, and we'll see what happens. And let's go to the last pick, which is in the 7th round. That's the 222nd pick. And this one is definitely an upside one. I'm not going to lie. But the athleticism is there. The question is, can he get the size and the IQ is where we're questioning things. But I think he is worth it in the 7th round. Tackle/guard. He can play any offensive line position. Tronte Jones of Michigan. So he didn't really start that many games, but he is a super athlete on the offensive line. Can play you can plug him in anywhere. Slightly undersized, but not too undersized. What are your guys' thoughts? I'll start with Mal.
You said he's an offensive lineman?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, listen, I think at this point you got to take anybody who can be athletic and has upside on the line. Never can have too many people in the trenches, especially on the line. I don't hate the pick at all. I think, honestly, if he has the athleticism, if he has the upside, especially that late in the draft, you do it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, and Earl, what do you think?
I like the pick. You can't have too many offensive linemen, especially with the depth and with the assurance, definitely in revamping your offensive line. I actually had two guys that y'all can get. One is a guard/center.
Okay.
I had Bo Limmer from Arkansas.
Okay.
He's 6'5", 307. He can be interchangeable, but he really holds his ground. And I think being able to add that to your line, a big body, as well as being able to be that wall and protect your QB is definitely key. The next player I had that you guys could have in that last spot, he's a linebacker, but he also can play safety. His name is Steel Chambers from Ohio State.
Steel Chambers?
Chambers.
I mean,
the dude,
I love it.
The dude he's a hit stick. Like, this guy can flat out fly on defense. He'll more likely be a special teams guy, but if you can add him to your defense and just have him strictly to lay somebody out, he would definitely be that guy. And with him and his size, he's like 6'2", 220, so he's undersized for a linebacker. He's going to be like one of those like prototypical hybrid/safeties that you could use, where you can put him at linebacker, you can put him at safety, and he could be that guy that could be the brutal force for you guys on the defense.
Gotcha. No, I love the name. It definitely reminds me of, the Berkshire Ferguson.
The Brickashaw.
What a great name.
I love
Legendary.
legendary name, and it inspired a whole entire comedy skit, multiple comedy skits actually. It's fantastic. By the way, the measurements for Jones, he is 6'4", 325 pounds. Originally from Georgia.
Not a bad size.
I don't
Definitely
think.
got to create that wall.
Like I said, I think the IQ part is where, and this is where he's going to have to be coached up. Is definitely the IQ, because he has the size and definitely the athleticism. Maurice, go ahead.
Yeah, you were talking about the IQ. On NFL.com, they mentioned that he's only had 13 starts in college.
Yeah.
So,
Part of that
I
is
mean,
injury. Part of that is IQ.
okay. So, like we said, like we keep saying, at this point in the draft, you're drafted for potential,
That's what
and
I'm looking at here.
you're definitely not expecting him to start. So,
No. I don't think he would be a backup, but a solid backup that's versatile because apparently
yeah.
he's played a lot of offensive line positions.
So all you can ask for.
Yep, absolutely. And that concludes the Commanders a
Hey,
lot.
Lucas, I have one more draft prospect for you. And
Okay.
this guy, I should have put him down at like pick 78. This guy, he's a linebacker from Ohio State. Another guy, Tommy Eichenberg.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. Absolutely. But we got to move on. So now we're going to go to team news. I'm going to start off with the Commanders. There's really nothing much here. They've definitely added some camp bodies, but nobody of significant relevance. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Maurice. Any significant Eagles news? I think there is at least one thing that we got to talk about with the Eagles.
Yes, they finally traded Hassan Reddick to the Jets. So essentially, it was a trade, Reddick for Bryce Huff.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, if you look at it that way. But they traded Hassan Reddick to the Jets for a third-round pick in 2026, which is kind of like, okay. I wish it was 2025. I wish it was this year's, but uh, yeah. But it could be a second-round pick if
Right.
if he plays enough snaps. It could be a second-round pick. So sad to see Hassan Reddick, a Philly native, go. But that's part of the business. Like I said, it's going to be him or Josh Sweat, and it looks like Sweat is going to be here for at least one more season. So Reddick is now gone. And real quick, the Eagles gave Ray Blankenship a 1-year extension through the 2025 season.
Solid.
So I mean, Reed was an undrafted rookie, so good for him, man. And he's going to be around for a couple years too. He's not going anywhere.
All right, and I think Earl is up next with the Cowboys. Any relevant news that we need to review real quick, bud?
The only news I got for Dallas is that they signed Chuma Edoga to a 1-year deal. He's an offensive guard that can play tackle, that can be another plug-in guy on the offensive line. It was kind of I guess, unrelevant, but it definitely assures that Tyler Smith might be moving to left tackle.
All right, and then Mal, anything up with the G-men?
I got absolutely nothing. We're just waiting for the draft at this point.
I think we all are, and let's go
Yeah.
ahead and Maurice, we're gonna go to the mailbag now, right?
All right, so our mailbag this week comes from the Dallas Cowboys, and we got one reply, and it was from Maple. Shout out Maple.
Salute.
Consistent, yeah, salute. Consistent replies from Maple. So shout out him. So his question is: any news on Dak, Jerry, and draft plans? So I'm just gonna go right to Earl on that one. Earl,
All
what
right,
you
I'm
got?
gonna start off with Dak Prescott. I believe a deal might be done in August, but it's up in the air. I know that CeeDee Lamb's contract is coming up, where I think his contract might get done first, and it'll probably be at the start of training camp. The situation with Dak Prescott, he is letting his agent handle stuff and has been back and forth battles and war with the Joneses and Todd France. So whatever happens there, it is what it is. But it's looking like Dak is going to play on his final year of his contract, and he might end up walking after this season. Jerry Jones, really don't have much on him. All I can say is he sometimes speaks in parables. He speaks in code. And some things, if you're not understanding what he's saying, you're just not going to take what he's saying for granted. But Jerry's just going to be Jerry. I feel like it's no longer his team. It's Stephen Jones' team. And the draft situation, I could tell you that this won't be another future draft like last year's. I think this time around they're going to look for BPA, best player available, and it's looking like the contracts that was on this team, especially the free agents, they are. I wouldn't say they're tanking, but they're really just letting off these older contracts where they're allowing their young guys to step up. So it's going to be like a big red shirt season with our second year guys, possibly third year guys, the younger guys. So it's looking like they're just going to get the best player available in the draft, but I think they're going to lean towards getting more picks because it's a lot of gaps that need to be filled with this. But that's pretty much all I have right now. Just ready for the draft.
Fair enough, man. So now we're going to go with Earl. Who's that player?
Who's that football player? Denny. This football player played on the Washington Commanders. He was a solid player in the early 2000s. This player in the 2001 season accumulated 3 interceptions, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 0.5 sacks, 82 total tackles, and 8 tackles for losses. He was a Pro Bowler and All-Pro. And that football player is, before I say the name, do you guys know who it is?
I mean, I know.
Yeah, I know you know. Maurice, do you know?
I do not know.
Maurice?
I do know who it is.
Who do you think
I might
it
have
is?
told him.
Oh,
Yeah,
you might have told him.
you told me.
Oh, my bad.
Lucas, no cheating.
I forgot. And it's not cheating.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Okay.
The Who's That football player is LeVar Arrington, linebacker. He played with the Commanders back in the heyday, and he was a solid linebacker for you guys, Lucas. That I feel like for him during that time, he was that main leader at linebacker for the Commanders, and just his ability alone. He played at Penn State, and he ran around a 4.5. He was a dynamic football player, and I feel like he could have played a little longer. I feel like he could have played a little longer in that regard, but when he did play for Washington, he was definitely an impact guy for this team. I know his overall career, he was a 3-time Pro Bowler with a 2-time All-Pro on the second team.
Yeah, look, when it comes to Arrington, we got to remember that he made the first year was interceptions, like you mentioned. Then he got it with sacks the next 2 years, which is pretty impressive. He didn't really tally up many more interceptions, but the thing that ended his career was interceptions, and he was a part of that defense that had Champ Bailey as well, which confused some of our fellow podcasters. Like I know it almost tricked Rio Robinson, but he figured it out. But no, it was a good pick. No, definitely. If injuries didn't end his career early, who knows? But he did play one season, his last season, with the Giants. So shout out to you guys, stealing another one of our players.
We're getting a couple players here for Who's That player that's played with multiple teams in the division.
I've noticed that there have been more than a handful of players that played with at least 3 teams in each division, but I wonder if there's ever been a player to play with all 4 teams in the division. I'm going to have to do some research on that. Or maybe Earl can.
I could definitely do that. Which team am I following the Who's That football player for?
We'll talk about it later. I don't know off the top of my head.
But one thing,
I got you.
One thing I didn't realize was he only played 6 seasons.
Yeah, injuries, man.
The injuries caught up with him.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
But
That's football.
he did end up being back-to-back Pro Bowler and All Pro
Yeah.
in the 2001 and 2002 season. So
Yeah.
he was that dude.
When he was healthy, he was that dude. Absolutely. So, that being said, Mal, we had one main poll question. If you want to cover the other one that I posted yesterday, you're more than welcome to, but you do not have to. But let's go to the one that you posted on Friday.
Okay, so our poll question for the week was a Philadelphia Eagles poll question. And the question was, how many rushing yards will Saquon Barkley have for the Philadelphia Eagles this season? Option 1, less than 500. Option 2, 500 to 700. Option 3, 700 and 900. And option 4, 900 plus. A
I can
majority. Go ahead.
Mal, I can already tell you. I know which one you voted for. You want him to fail, so you
What
want
did
him to
I
be.
put?
I bet you put 500 or less.
I did not.
What'd
I'm
you put?
realistic. I'm not a hater.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
I put 7 to 900.
okay. That's what I
But
put too.
yeah, but a majority of our followers said 900 plus on both Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah,
Fair.
everybody's pretty realistic on this one. Swift ran for over 1,000 yards. He was a Pro Bowler. I expect more from Saquon, so I have him around 12 to 1,400 rushing yards. I really do believe that with Kellen Moore in it, we don't know exactly what the offense is going to entail, but we do know that Kellen Moore likes to pass. But I do think because you have a weapon like Saquon, you have to get him involved. So as I'm thinking about it, I said 1,200 to 1,400. I want to say around 1,100, but he's going to get a lot of catches from out of the backfield as well. What do you
We
guys
will.
think?
We will. I look. We'll see. Like Kellen Moore does not like to use his running
Mm-hmm.
back, so we'll see.
True.
But
I would say Saquon would be an all-purpose back over 1,000 yards.
mhm.
All purpose?
That's
Okay.
fair.
Yeah,
All purpose,
because
I
I
think
can't
over
I
1,000. Yeah.
can't make that judgment that he'll get more touches running, but he would be a guy who will have rushing yards close to 1,000 while still being able to be a pass catching back as well, where he'll accumulate over, I would say, around maybe 1,500 yards as an all-purpose.
Okay.
See, I don't. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. That's all I
Oh,
gotta
it'll
say.
be mostly passing, to be
Yeah,
honest with you,
I
but
gotta say it's going to be mostly passing yards to catching, receiving yards. But let's go to the trivia question of the week, and I thought this one was a good one. Mal, I'm going to read it. You're going to tell me if you know the answer or not.
So I'm gonna tell you straight off the bat. I was reading this a few times, and I can't think of who this is. So I'm excited to hear this answer.
Okay. All right. So, who has had the shortest coaching tenure for the Giants in the Super Bowl era? Do you know who it is, Mal? You want
I
to
don't
guess?
know who it
I'll give
is.
you a hint. I'll give you a hint. It's happened within the past 10 years.
It's happened within the past 10 years.
Yeah.
can I try?
Is it
You
Ben
know the
McAdoo?
answer, Earl, huh?
Is it Ben McAdoo?
No. Well,
Ah,
technically, it could be if you don't count. Well, and I did count an interim basis on this.
okay.
I'm gonna say, is it Jim Fossil?
Nope.
So think of a coach that's gotten fired and someone's replaced him.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say interim.
There were a lot of those.
The answer is it's Gettleman, right? Maurice, I said David Gettleman.
Gettleman
No,
was a GM.
No,
he's the
no.
GM.
Who did I
No,
say yesterday?
it was Steve Spagnuolo.
Steve Spagnuolo. Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
I would
yeah,
not have even thought
Spags.
about that
That
Yeah.
is true.
because he was
Spags.
there for such a short time after he was
Yeah,
DC.
4 games. Now doing research on this question, and I've already told Maurice and Earl this, but I'm not going to tell you, Mal. The next time we do a Giants question, it's going to be a very good one because I don't think you're going to get it. But it
All
is
right, I'm
during the
looking
Super.
forward to it. I'm excited.
It's a historical one. I will say that it's a historical one. So be ready. And I think it's going to be mind blowing because Earl and Maurice, were you guys surprised when I told you about that?
I was.
I was too.
Yeah.
Now, when you hear the name,
It's
you're
going to
like,
make so much more
"Oh, okay.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyway, on that note, I'm going to have Maurice play us out.
We truly thank you all for listening to our podcast this week. We hope you enjoy. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. And we're now on YouTube, which includes our bloopers. So if you want to see us or hear us mess up a line, do a little redo, or a little dog barking in the background, check us out on
Yes.
check us out. Check us out on YouTube. So yeah, check us out. Subscribe while you're there. Give us a thumbs up on one of our shorts or one of our episode clips. Hit us up. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter or X, Instagram, and Facebook at 13_rings podcast. Until the next time, have a good day.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Blessings.